Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today I'm with Jordan. Please, Jordan, introduce yourself to our audience today.
Thank you, Julia. Thanks for having me. I am Jordan McCow. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Realaml. We are an AML and identity verification platform that was founded in New Zealand in early 2019 to help law firms meet their Tranche 2 AML CFT obligations. A few ways that we stand out from the rest is we are pay per use, so no contracts or minimums. Our proprietary technology can verify clients in over 20 countries, and we pride ourselves on free and unlimited support and training. We're also much more than just identity verifications. We also provide risk scoring, customizable intake forms, ongoing PEP monitoring, e-signing, a soon-to-launch AML directory, AI agents and machine learning tools, and outsourced AML. And we are built for law firms. So we currently integrate with ActionStep, Clio, Smokeball, and more. And from a security perspective, we are ISO 27001 and SOC 2 certified.
Oh, okay. That's cool. How did you come to start and work in AML, or did you come from the technology side, more from the technology side?
It was actually a bit of both. So prior to launching the business, I used to be in stockbroking and had my own firm, and I was the compliance officer. So I firsthand dealt with the inefficiencies and all the paperwork that was required with onboarding new clients. I then went to the tech space in 2015, eventually moved to Auckland in around 2017, working on a property technology platform. And a very small component of that was the identity verification piece. And as that business ended up not being successful, we were fortunate that we got wind of the new AML legislation of Tranche 2 coming into New Zealand in July 2018. So we basically stripped that piece out of the existing product and doubled down and built around that. And we analysed what we saw from a competitive perspective in the market, and we rather than resell existing technology, we saw some issues with incumbents, and we decided to basically build from scratch. So the first 3 or 4 years of our journey was basically building the product. So we were on the back foot when it came to sort of sales and marketing, but now we're much more competitive because our technology is more customizable, our cost base is less, and so that's basically how we got to where we are today. And we currently operate in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and soon to be UK.
Oh, cool. Congratulations. I didn't know about the UK. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
And obviously you sell Realaml. It's a technology product. And I wonder if you can tell us about your insight about how technology can enhance anti-money laundering compliance. What's your opinion on that space?
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly, when we did launch in 2019, that was pre-COVID. So there was a lot of pushback from law firms saying we meet all of our clients face-to-face and we're happy to manually do the AML process. I think people's mindsets have shifted, thankfully. That was obviously a silver lining from COVID, if there was any. But I think the use of technology to enhance AML compliance is not just beneficial, it's really essential in today's ever increasing complex regulatory environment. Without the use of technology, it would be very time consuming, for example, doing ongoing PEP monitoring. And this day and age, people are very remote. So people work all around the globe. And without technology, it'd be very cumbersome to verify someone's identity. They would have to take copies of they have to take their passport, utility bills to get them refereed in different countries and then email them across. Without technology, you wouldn't be able to detect fake IDs. So a lot of the AI tools that we have as part of our identity verification, that wouldn't be possible. I guess, from an efficiency and a cost and time perspective, it's just incredibly essential. And having everything in the cloud, as long as the dashboard is secure, which it is with us, is much safer than offline. And it's easier from an audit perspective. I'm sure you could agree. If you've got everything in one spot, it's easier for the likes of yourself to go into a law firm, get access to a single dashboard to then conduct the independent audits.
Definitely record keeping, it's an important part and something that I look when I do an audit. And I find sometimes whether it's a law firm or another type of reporting entities, and I see like a folder with 20 pieces of documents, all labeled in something that I don't understand, and I just want to put my hands in my hair and like, oh no, I don't know what to do. So certainly, when everything is like neatly organized and labeled, it makes the audit much easier for me, and in turn, much better result for the reporting entity. That's for sure. And it can be achieved in many different ways. Obviously, I've seen also a lot of reporting entities that do everything manually and have very good record keepings just because they have someone very neat and tight anyway. But I can see how that helps. You're talking a lot. Sorry, yeah.
I was going to say that's a good point, actually. That that if they are doing the AML verifications manually, but they still have a good record keeping system, making sure everything's scanned and labeled correctly in secure online folders. I'm sure that that is a bit better, but we just find that usually it doesn't go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Doing manual verifications and having good record keeping.
Yeah.
Good record keeping is it's by default when you're doing electronic verifications. So
it's also automated. You mentioned a couple of times AI, and obviously I'm very curious. And I think on the past couple of years, also the AI revolution has I don't know the word, has really being mainstream on every single sector. Everybody's talking about AI. So who am I not to talk about AI today? Tell us a little bit about what's the use of AI that you do in Realaml. What tool do you have?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think if we didn't talk about AI, no one would listen to this.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be the title, AI. That's all.
Exactly. It's funny, just all the conferences that I go to, as you know how much I travel, I think everyone's booth now has to have the word AI to I think, be taken seriously. But it's quite funny because working in different countries, we see that the rate of adoption and the introduction of AI is quite varied. So, for example, in Canada, everyone is AI fatigued. So we recently launched what we call FileQ AI, which is an AI agent that we've built from scratch through ChatGPT to basically analyze complex trust deeds and company extracts. So when you're onboarding in New Zealand, for example, a trust, you often get a trust deed that's 20 years old, and in those decades there may have been half a dozen amendments, and it can be quite time consuming to go through and figure out who are the current trustees. Has anyone been unfortunately passed during that period, to figure out who they need to verify at this point in time. In Canada, that wasn't very well received because, as I mentioned, they're quite fatigued with AI tools, and there's been things in the media there of court cases using precedents that didn't exist, that AI sort of made up. But to answer your question, before the AI hype was around, we've been using AI from day one. It's been non-generative, so it's not at the same sort of same level of, say, ChatGPT, but we have been using assisted and unassisted machine learning, which is a subset of AI, from day one. And that's been used for detecting fake IDs, such as portrait photo overlays. It's also been used from day one for detecting that there's a real face behind the camera and a real document being presented, which we call face and document liveness. So from 2019, we've been using AI, and we always laugh. A couple of years ago, when prospective clients would, the first thing they would say is, "But do you use AI?" And we sort of laughed and said, "Yes, from day one we've been using it." And now we do see slight benefits of having an AI agent for analyzing trust deeds. But to be honest, if ChatGPT wasn't around, it wouldn't have that much of a negative impact on our business.
So when you talk about the liveliness check and the document check, is like the one that like you show your document and you do like a smile and move your face, and is that like the biometric verification?
Yeah, that's right. So the two key components of a remote identity verification are capturing an image of your document. So we use AI to detect if there's been tampering to that document, and if that document's physically present, or whether it's being displayed on from a screen, or whether it's been printed. So all of those broad checks use AI. And then for our liveness detection, that's actually passive liveness. So the AI behind the scenes can detect if there's a real person behind the camera, even if they're not smiling, or they don't need to respond to actions for us to detect if there's a live human being behind the camera.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I think, I've been working in this field from before the AI hype, and other services, including yours and many others, offer that biometric. And I didn't know it was AI. For me, it was just black magic, I think that at least what the AI hype has done, at least it has made the vocabulary more accessible for everyone. And even non-tech people can understand, I understand a little bit more how that biometric checks work, because I have a bit of an idea of what AI, non-generative AI, does. So that definitely helped me to get my head around also that technology. Because as an auditor or as a consultant, I only get the report and I check that it all looks good and the ticks are there, and the technology is not always my forte. You also, sorry, yep, you said.
I was going to say, well, that just made me think that maybe we should talk about, creating some, I think there would be some benefit for an AI agent to be used for audits. Obviously, it wouldn't be automated. It'd be more about, you overseeing the process. But I think there could be efficiencies in there of us creating some kind of AI agent that auditors can use and ask, audit-related questions to then sift through, a firm's 3 years of verifications.
Yeah, I was doing an audit certification, and I was doing the lectures, assisting to the lectures, and the teacher was talking about a 100% sample, and we were all like, "What? 100% sample? You're crazy!" Because obviously, when you do audit, you do like a 10% sample, 5% sample. It really depends how big the sample is, or how complex, or how deep you want to go. But if you do have a tool that allows you to automatize the review, and that allows you to speed up the review, you could do a 100% sample, and you could check. You could maybe give in an instruction or check every time that the document is not dated. Check every time that the PEP checks was not done. Like, you could give those information. It would be great, because I think an issue when we do sample is that I need to extrapolate, as an auditor, I need to extrapolate a conclusion from a sample. Mm-hmm. If the sample was 100%, it will just be, well, this is the result. I checked everything, and this is what it is. So I think that it could enhance audit for sure.
Yeah, well, I kind of just top of mind think of it like a Gemini for your inbox, right? If you can ask questions that, as I said, related to a firm's verifications and record keeping for 3 years, and you could always start with 100% sample, but then maybe you manually review X%. So it's a bit of a combination.
Asking, giving certain parameters to identify what's truly high risk, and check that. That's could be done. I don't know.
No, definitely. These days, anything is possible from a technology perspective. So
I was also curious about how the tool look into trust deeds, because I used to do anti-money laundering in-house compliance, mm-hmm. And I think that receiving a trust deed from a client was one of my most hated thing, because it's like it comes up with this document. It's 100 pages, non-searchable oftentimes. It's just, it's not a real PDF. It's just like a picture.
Oh, exactly. And it was funny you brought that up, because the most time-consuming process of building that AI agent was our CTO and co-founder actually building a brand new OCR tool. So which had to be able to digest or ingest a combination of handwritten, typed, scanned, dozens of times over decades. So that was the biggest time. That was the most time-consuming part of the project. was building an accurate tool that could actually extract all the data from trustees. Because as you know, they all vary in format, age, and how much handwriting and how legible and how bright or bold text is. So I completely can understand the frustrations. And as you said, right, they can be 100 pages long, and if you've got amendments here and there, and there could be one sentence amongst on page 50 just mentioning that one of the trustees was deceased, and if that's missed, then you're chasing up having awkward conversations, asking for current trustees for ID documents of someone who is deceased.
Yeah, just tell us for us. I'm sure the audience know, but just for me, tell us OCR, what it stands for.
Optical character recognition.
Optical character recognition.
So it's basically automatically extracting all the text from a document. And that was, as I mentioned, the most challenging part, because as you probably would have seen working in-house, is that no one trustee looks the same in regards to the format.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Well, it sounds interesting. I think that you told me offline that there is a new risk rating. Oh, you mentioned also at the beginning a customer risk rating tool. Is it launched in New Zealand, Australia, and Canada? Is it launched everywhere?
For now, it's only going to be launched in Australia and New Zealand. It's not a requirement in Canada. Canada's a bit funny. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but their AML legislation is implemented by each province and territory's law society. So they have the equivalent of DIA, which is FinTrack. That only applies from a tranche 2 perspective to the real estate sector, but it's not covered at a federal level for law firms and accounting. It's a bit more of a watered down version of what we have in New Zealand and what we'll have in Australia next year. So the risk rating tool, which we're actually launching tomorrow morning, we'll initially go out to Australia and New Zealand. So as you're aware, from 1st of June, New Zealand law firms will have to risk rate every new customer.
Yeah.
So our tool, which has been, it's been a collaborative process amongst a few different AML consultants and our developers, but it ties in to the electronic identity verifications that we run. So, for example, it'll feed in, the PEP information, any associated countries. So it's what they can customize the questions in there as well, and they can customize the scores. When a particular risk rating comes out, it can also then provide guidance on the next steps.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Is it fully? Is the user is able to override the result if they're not happy, or they think, actually, I'm not convinced that that's the right result?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so they can either override the result, or they can retake the risk scoring. So they can jump back in. The previous answers will be there, but they can then make amendments. And if they, don't feel that they're getting the right score, they can obviously customize the questions. They can remove or add additional questions, and then they can change what scores the answers will be.
But that would change the methodology for every client. So I'm thinking more like, for example, if a firm I go to the firm and they follow the questionnaire and it comes out, I'm low risk, but they have a hunch or they have a feeling that I'm not quite low risk. Can they change just that without changing all the?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So from a one-off risk scoring for a customer, if they don't feel that that's the right risk score, they can go in and override that to a lower or a higher risk rating.
Cool. Well, it sounds interesting. I think that today is the 27th of May, so we are a few days before the beginning of customer risk rating in New Zealand. I am curious at how things are gonna be, and I hope that reporting entities are prepared. I think it's, in a way, there was always an implicit requirement for risk rating the customers, because the Act always asks, on the basis of risk, you should do ongoing customer due diligence. On the basis of risk, you should do enhanced customer due diligence. So in a way, reporting entities already needed to have their mind switch to what's risk are. And I think this next step is really having it writing down, like, how do you assess that risk? So that documentary part. And I'm curious to see how this will evolve. And I think from my perspective, I will see that as I do audits from the 1st of June on. Maybe you will have more of a, I don't know, feedback from your users much earlier than that.
Yeah, and we know that whenever you're building a brand new product, it's never going to be 100%. And so, we anticipate there'll be many more versions over the next few months, as we get feedback from clients, about the user experience.
Yeah.
But at least they've got something that's fully customizable, that shows that they are, doing their best to comply with it, with the new, requirements. And that risk score will then be merged into the other electronics. So whether they're doing a standalone PEP check or a biometric or an in-person EIV, that risk score will then be merged with that underlying identity verification.
Cool. That's interesting. Is there any concluding thoughts or something that you would like to add for our audience today before we wrap up?
Yeah, sure. Well, basically, feel free to reach out to our team if you need help automating your AML processes. We can provide obligation-free trial accounts with credits, so you can actually jump in and test these new risk scoring tools or global biometric identity verifications that have that cutting edge passive liveness technology that uses AI.
Awesome. Thank you. I will leave all links to your website, to your LinkedIn profile, so whoever, all the audience can find you, reach out to you.
Yeah, definitely. And we're more than happy to provide, references from existing clients. We've been in the market over 6.5 years, and we work with over 1,200 law firms across the globe. So
awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Julia. It was a pleasure.
If you made it till here, thank you so much. My name is Julia from Total AML. I'm a certified anti-money laundering specialist. And from yesterday, I'm a certified anti-money laundering specialist audit, which is very exciting. I'm very happy about that. In my day job, I help businesses comply with anti-money laundering regulation and fight fraud and other financial crimes in their practices, in their businesses. And here on YouTube, I talk about anti-money laundering, fraud, and all of that fun stuff. If you're interested, please comment, like, subscribe. All of this really helps the channel, and I see you on the next one.